So this is the first flight of my new Raptor for about a month. I've been waiting for a new wing set after my previous flight when I switched it into manual mode while I was still on the goggles and got a bit fun happy and stalled it and crashed it into some trees. So I hadn't been real happy with the range I was getting out of the EzUHF. So while I've been waiting for the wings, I've been messing around with the antenna, and I've built a new dipole from one of IB Crazy's plans, which I've stuck on the tail. And this is the first flight since I've installed it. So I've had a few problems with centre of gravity, moving the receiver from the wing to the tail made quite a bit of difference. I had a couple of minor disasters, and it's still a little bit pitchy, as you'll see throughout this flight. So we're off the deck, and I've coded in the top of the mountain as 800 metres above ground level here, and 3.5 kilometres away. So according to Google Earth, the top of Mount Tennant is 760 metres, and I've added a bit more control to the autopilot in the pitch department, so I'm seeing if it'll climb out to that distance in the 3.5 kilometres, and at this point of the flight it's not looking like it will, so I've slipped it in the PA mode so I can apply a bit more up elevator, and I'm steering down the valley so that I've got plenty of room to gain some extra height. So everything seems to be going well. The antenna seems to be working wonderfully. There's been no RSSI drop at all. Haven't had any glitches. So I've gained some height and I've put it back in autopilot, so it's only got to pick up 150 metres from here, so I've letting the autopilot do its job. Now we're starting to get a bit close now, and I'm thinking that 800 metres doesn't look to me like it's going to take me over the top of the mountain, but the camera is pointing down slightly, so I decide to continue, and then the video starts to fade out. But I hold my nerve and keep watching it, and then I'm definitely convinced I'm not high enough to go over the top of the mountain. So just as I'm about to switch into return to home mode, the video starts to break up again, and I cross my fingers and flick the switch and hold the elevator up, and as you can see, I don't clear the mountain by very much at all. So on the way back, getting a fair bit of dropout from the video, which is disappointing. I was hoping it would be a lot more solid than that. I may have flown out of the beam a little bit, but I'll need to check on that in the future. But at this point in the flight, I'm inserting a crowbar between my butt cheeks to try and pull them apart. I've cut down on the power because I'm at 800 metres and I've got to lose all that height so that I can see the plane when it comes back to me. So I thought I'd cut it back to 0, but obviously hadn't initially. Now I have. So we're just gliding. We're about 1 kilometre from home, and we've dropped about 250 metres. So the return home does a wonderful job of keeping the plane as close to its specified height as it can, which is the 800 metres. There's a fair bit of side to side, and I assume that's because it's trying to maintain a level altitude. It is going into the wind. It's not much of a wind, but it is heading into it. So only a couple of metres from home here now. I slip it into PA mode to try and drop it down a bit more because I've still got the goggles on, and I want to be able to see the plane when I take them off, so I'm just messing around. Okay, so we're coming down to about 200 metres now, and I think this is where I actually spot the plane. We're pretty close to it, and slip it into manual mode to bring it down for landing. So I'm a bit high on this first approach. Decided to go around. It's a very slow plane to steer. It's particularly unresponsive. I tend to oversteer, and this is what actually happens here. As I'm coming in to land, I think I'm a little bit, I might be short of the strip, and I gun the motor a little bit. As you can see, the amps go up, and it just porpoises up and stalls, almost hits the nose. I've just pulled it up about 6 inches off the deck, then it almost goes into the van before I get it stabilised and come round again. So that was all I needed after almost crashing into the trees up on the top of the mountain, but it's under control now, though I am overusing the elevator. So we're lined up, and just go and have a quick look at the dam, and we're down. So the radio was rock solid all the way. I'm very impressed. I'm not sure whether it's the antenna or whether it's the EzUHF ditch that's fixed the radio up, but now I've got video to worry about, so that'll be the topic of my next search. I thought I'd close this video with a picture of the top of Mount Tennant just after I managed to put it in return to home mode. You can see on the left there, that's the actual track that leads up to the top of the mountain from the back. So if I had actually hit the trees, I might have stood a chance of getting this one back, as opposed to the poor old Phantom, which is lying at the bottom of the cliff on the other side of the mountain. Anyway, thanks for watching.